Yo, what's good guys? As you can tell, today we are back in the mazdaspeed, and by the title of the video you probably already know this is gonna be a review on my quick release NRG steering wheel and hub. I got this about a week ago. I have a video on installing it if you want to check that out as well. But in this one, this is just gonna basically be the pros and cons of a quick release in a daily car like this, and my final opinion in the end, and if it's worth it or not to have in a street car. So let's get right into it. This is going to be pros and cons, and then my final opinion in the end, which is completely just my opinion. It's not biased in any way. I'm not getting paid by NRG or whatever. I bought this used from a friend in the mazdaspeed community, so it's all fair. Okay, so to kick things off of this pros and cons review of my NRG quick release steering wheel, I'm just going to jump into some pros, some things that I like about this wheel. So to get right into it, first thing I'd have to say is probably the looks of it, how the whole entire steering wheel setup looks. From the yellow stitching up top to tell you where the center of the wheel is, from the chrome hardware to the stitching on the insides of the wheel, everything about this wheel looks dope. The quick release itself is carbon fiber, and I think it all just flows well with the interior of the car being mostly black. So yeah, I think that's my #1 pro on the whole steering wheel setup here. So another thing I like about this wheel is how close it sits to me. It sticks out much further than the stock wheel itself, and that is mostly because of the deep dish feature in the wheel. I don't know the exact measurements of how deep the wheel is, but you can really tell the difference once you install it and you're sitting in your seat where you were mounted before. Just hit a massive pothole. Yeah, that is another big point that I like about this racing wheel. Moving on to the next thing is how it feels. I guess this would be probably the most important part of the wheel, because it's something that you're touching the whole entire time that you're driving your car. But the feel of the steering wheel is great. It's a little bit thinner than your stock wheel, which may or may not be better for you. I personally like it, but besides the feeling of it itself, the physical feel, the steering you can definitely tell is a bit tighter than the stock wheel, which is kind of fascinating. I didn't really expect that at first, but it definitely is a bit tighter, which definitely gives you a little bit more control of your car, and it just feels that much better. So another thing I really do like about this wheel is the ease of use. It is very easy to use, which it should be. It's a quick release steering wheel. It's meant to pop off when you need to and put it back on whenever you have to. So it obviously should be easy, but I've definitely seen some quick release steering wheels that they kind of have weird patterns to them to lock them back in and to take them off and stuff. They're a little bit more complicated than they should be, but I mean, I'm sure there's a purpose to that. But for my car, just being a daily street car, I like how I can just pop the wheel off from the carbon fiber piece. I'll try doing it while driving here. Might be a bit stupid, but it comes off like that and right back on. So I like that on how it's just quick and simple and nothing too complicated about it. And yeah, I guess that's going to be another thing to add to the pros list. So they're driving off the road. What you doing? Drunk as shit. Okay, so to move on to the cons now. As you can tell, there isn't very many pros that I like about this wheel, because they're all kind of just obvious. It is, again, just a steering wheel. So, but to jump into the cons I think are going to outweigh the pros a little bit here, just for the simple fact that I had tech package in this car. Well, I still do. I'll explain that in a minute. So to get right into it, the first thing I don't like about this wheel, and to say the things that I don't like about this wheel aren't really included in the wheel itself and the whole setup, but what I had to sacrifice to use this wheel as my daily driver. Basically, one of the things that I don't like about having this wheel installed in my car is my blinkers don't shut off by themselves. When I make a turn, my blinkers will not shut off by themselves. And if you saw me install video, you would know that the clock spring that I took out had 2 plugs attached to it, 2 harnesses that I could no longer use. One of them being the signal automatic shut off whenever you make a turn. So that is very annoying. I've definitely driven around town with my blinkers on many times, but I'm kind of getting used to it and it's not that big of a deal. Moving on to the next is just another little thing. My blinker and my washer, or my wipers I guess, are kind of far away now. Whenever I had my stock wheel, I used to be able to just reach my finger out and use either or, but now it's kind of like a reach away, which again is just a little thing, so it doesn't really bug me that much once you get used to it. So one other thing that is it's a little bit bigger of a pain in the ass, in my opinion, is going back to the clock spring issue of taking it out and losing those 2 wiring harness plugs that I cannot use anymore. So anytime I get in my car, I turn my car on. If I just not immediately start driving, but once I go to start driving, if I don't turn my traction control off, then it will flash at me and it will start pulsing my brakes and activating, which is no good. And my ABS light comes on and also my e-brake light comes on. So it's kind of strange whenever that sensor is malfunctioning, but again, that's all just because I've unplugged it. So anytime I want to drive my car normally, I just have to turn traction control off before I start going. So another thing I dislike about having this wheel installed in my 2010 Mazdaspeed 3 is another relation to the tech package. One other addition I lost was my projector headlights that move with the steering wheel. Again, that goes back to the clock spring not being still installed and losing those 2 plugs. So anytime I make a turn, my headlights don't follow the wheel, which was really a luxury, and it was a nice one too. I know many of you might not have that in your speeds if you don't have tech package, but I really did like that feature, and you've got to be kidding. So yeah, anytime I take a turn in this car, my headlights used to follow what way I had my wheel turned, and it was actually a really nice luxury. So missing out on that's kind of shitty, but again, you kind of just get used to it. Okay, so this is the next day. I forgot to mention this in yesterday's video, but I'm just going to throw this in anyway. I wanted to show you guys what the whole hub setup looked like without the wheel on, so you could actually see, and what I had to do to make this fit. So the original shroud where the steering wheel, the OEM steering wheel goes, is too small to fit this hub on, so you do have to do a bit of cutting, which sucks. I just used a box knife and just kept cutting and test fitting it to see if it would close. Basically the top and bottom just separate, but it will not close properly with this NRG hub, so you do have to trim it a little bit. And but as you can tell, mine looks pretty good besides the 2 scratches I put here with the knife by accident. But yeah, it looks pretty flush now and it's closed properly. But if I were to ever put the OEM steering wheel back on, I'd probably go and try to find a new shroud for this, just so it looks clean and not cut up. But yeah, that's pretty well all I had to do to make this steering wheel fit. Like I said earlier in the video as well, about the clock spring, which is underneath this shroud. I can't really show you without taking it apart, but you will have to take the clock spring out unless you can find a way to make it work. But you will realize that the wiring harness plugs will not fit back inside with this steering wheel, or any aftermarket steering wheel, that is. But yeah, so get back to the current day part of the video. Okay guys, so that is going to conclude the pros and cons part of this video, and everything I like about it and everything I don't like about this wheel. As you can probably tell, there's a little bit more cons to it, but that's mostly because my Mazdaspeed is tech package and I lost a lot of features due to that. But nonetheless, to go right into my opinion on the wheel and what I think of it overall, and is it worth putting in a street car? So, my opinion on it is that I personally really like it. Like I said earlier, I like the feel of it, I like the look of it. But again, there's the big side of cons that you lose out on all these features that new cars come with. I mean, this wheel would be really great in something like a 90 Supra or like a GTR or something older that doesn't have all those new technology features like projector headlights that move with your steering wheel and all that stuff. So if I were to say, is it worth putting in a street car that you daily perhaps, or just a street car in general? I would say no, it's not worth it. I think you're losing out on more than you are gaining, but that is just my opinion. If you have a racing wheel, quick release wheel in your car that you daily and you just drive around as your normal car, that's great. If you like it, that's great. I have one and I'm going to keep this one all season. I might change it out next year if I want to, but as of this season, I really like it. I like the feel of it. Like I said, it looks great, so I'm going to keep it in. But if I were to do it again, would I put a race wheel in my daily car? And that's a no. I would just say no, because again, you're losing out on more than you're gaining. And yeah, that's just my opinion on it. If you guys have a wheel, a racing wheel or a quick release wheel in your car, let me know what kind you have down below and what your setup's like. And if you are looking to get one, maybe this video helped you out in whatever direction you're looking to go in. But yeah, drop your opinion down below on what you guys think of racing wheels and quick releases in general. And yeah, that's going to be it for this one. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll check you in the next one. Peace.